1 point worse than The Boss Baby.
Apparently, The Boss Baby cleaned up this weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the
Ghost in the
movie.
Shell.
Ghost in the Shell is a dud.
Yep.
Dud. Should have had more talking babies.
Clearly
the formula.
Should have had more talking babies. The baby formula.
We're talking babbies.
It trumped the other movies at the box office. Get it?
No. Explain.
It's kind of like a little Trump. Get it?
I don't.
Oh.
Are you talking about Glengarry Glen Ross? Is that what we're talking about?
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'm talking about the animated adaptation of Glengarry Glen Ross.
Mm-hmm. See, now had I known that's what it was, I would have been there opening night as well, because that's a fantastic movie.
Well,
I've never seen it.
You've never seen? Really? What?
No.
Dude.
Never seen it either.
You guys should see that. It's a fun time just because it's really just a bunch of really great actors spewing awesome dialogue for an hour and a half, and
okay,
there's really nothing. There's no other reason to watch it but to watch.
Wait, which movie is that?
Glengarry Glen Ross.
Oh yeah, Glengarry Glen Ross is great. Yeah, that's good. I watched it just recently with my wife, who was less enamored of it than I was. But
I just from a dialogue perspective, and the performances in that movie are great.
Oh yeah. Pacino.
We watched.
We
watched The Money Pit and The Man with One Red Shoe.
Oh wow,
Tom Hanks.
I tried to watch Iron Fist.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And I got through the first 2 episodes.
I've heard that's not good.
Taking a little break.
That's good. Take a break.
Yeah.
I've heard ill things of that.
There's not a whole lot of good things happening in
too.
that series so far.
Yep.
So
I was telling them before you jumped on, Greg, that I saw not only Power Rangers but the Fate of the Furious.
Man, I didn't even remember that was out. I have got to go see that.
It's not. I got a special fancy chance to see it. Advanced screening thanks to Comcast. Yeah.
All right.
And it makes male pattern balding look cool again.
Sorry, I made male pattern balding look cool again.
Yeah. Yeah, because you got The Rock and Vin Diesel and the guy from the Transporter.
Well, all those guys just shaved themselves. They're not balding anymore. They're bald. It's a different
by choice.
By choice,
yes,
I'm sure.
When you shave, it's by choice. I could grow hair if I wanted to. I don't want to.
Good times. All right.
Neither does Phil or Ethan.
Should we hit the record button?
I've been recording for the last minute.
Yeah, I have too. I've been recording for 2 minutes and 52 seconds.
Thanks for telling us.
I'm not wasting your time, CJ, so I just started recording now.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, Phil.
No
you
problem,
have respected
CJ.
my time.
I'm very happy to do so, CJ.
Such a
Did you learn that compliance when you were living together? Like, you just were you like the Igor in the relationship?
Your Oreos are here, sir. Where would you like them? Where would
CJ's like, I'm ready for my close-up.
Incredible Hulk green chocolate syrup is ready for you, sir. It's ready to turn your feces green.
3 tablespoons of Hulk syrup, just as you like, CJ.
No.
That's right.
Living the dream, boys.
Living the dream.
Mixed into the milk with a fork, not a spoon, just the way you like it, CJ.
Yeah.
Well, duh. That's how you have to do it.
CJ only stirs things into his milk with forks.
I'm very demanding.
Yeah, what is that about?
I don't know. I think it's an American thing.
America.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. We stir with our forks around here.
Let's do a clap.
All right.
Oh, may we?
Yes, we may. 3, 2, 1. Fantastic.
Hello, Red Sun Gamer TV, listening to the car in Japan. Please don't crash.
That's right.
Don't do that.
Yeah. All right. All right. I think I'll announce this part before we actually start recording. So we're going to do a giveaway.
We're going to tell everyone it's the last episode?
No, we're going to do a giveaway with Out of the Park Baseball in this episode. So people who are watching live, this is for you if you're watching on YouTube right now. Basically, as we do the show, tweet to the P1 Podcast account a possible episode title if you hear it.
Oh,
If you want to, take something that we said and make it the episode title, tweet it to the @P1 Podcast account and specify if you'd like an iOS, Android, or PC code for Out of the Park Baseball 18.
wow.
And we will give you one of those codes. These keys are being provided as courtesy of Out of the Park Developments, makers of Out of the Park Baseball 18 and MLB Manager 2017. Out of the Park 18, the 2016 Metacritic PC Game of the Year, can be found for $39.99 on Steam or directly from the Out of the Park website. And MLB Manager 2017 can be found for $4.99 on the iOS App Store or Google Play.
What a deal.
Wait, so
Yes.
are we exempt? Can we try for this?
We can't
No.
do it.
Prize?
You're not
We're
allowed.
exempt.
Hey, Red Sun Gamer on our YouTube feed is DJ Mizuhara.
Mizuhara, yeah,
he's
long-time
our
listener.
PlayStation VR brother on Twitter.
That's right.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So anyway, yes, tweet your episode titles to @P1 Podcast as we go. All right. Game show reference. Okay. Hello and welcome.
No whammies.
Big money. Big money.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to episode 543
3,
of
2, 1.
the Player One podcast for Tuesday, April 4th, 2017. I'm your host, Chris Johnston. With me, as always, from California, not sick anymore, Mr. Phil Theobald. Hello.
I'm feeling fine like cherry wine.
Ooh.
Sounds like an episode
Man.
title to me.
All
That's
that
pretty-
sucking up Phil did it before we started the show really worked.
Sure
We got
works.
back into the prime intro spot.
That's right.
First in line, buddy boy.
And joining me from Canada, where it's eternally winter, Mr. Greg Seward. Hello.
Please remember to have your pets spayed or neutered.
Yes. There you go. Game show reference.
Game show reference.
And joining us from California, Mr. Ethan Einhorn. How's it going?
Hey there. Very good, and pleased to give you the inside scoop that the new Power Rangers movie is actually fantastic. It's Batman Begins meets The Breakfast Club,
For Christ's
and
sake.
it's way, way better than you'd think. So, yeah, it was a good part of this weekend to check that out with my son.
But it doesn't
I
have
liked it more
Molly
than he
Ringwald
did.
in it, though.
It doesn't. It would be better with Molly Ringwald for sure, but
Nor is there Bulk and Skull.
there is a bully, but there's no Bulk or a skull.
Is his name
That's true.
Bulk or Skull?
I don't have any friend. You guys were actually Power Rangers fans?
No, I wasn't, which is
No.
confusing me as to why Ethan apparently is.
Hey,
I
I
was
saw
like-
I saw the first theatrically released Power Rangers movie in the theaters, and my wife was like, "Oh, how old were you?" And I said, "I think 21,
You are a
22."
perpetual mystery to me, sir.
Power Rangers was like just outside of my age group.
Yeah,
Like,
same here.
like
and
I've been
years?
like, no, like 3 or 4 years. If I had just been born a little bit later.
So for
Well,
reference, so
Yeah.
CJ's saying that.
Yeah.
Yes.
CJ's the youngest guy on the show.
That's
The one person who
True.
said they were into Power Rangers is the oldest guy on the show.
No. Phil is actually the
no,
older.
I'm,
okay,
I'm
sorry.
older.
I'm
older,
younger
yeah.
by a month, yeah. But I'll tell you,
but still.
CJ, the perfect time to jump in. Then this is a great introduction film. It's an origin story, so
Okay.
check it out.
Well, my
Yeah.
daughter does have Power Rangers pajamas. So
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I've been watching Power Rangers videos on YouTube.
Ah,
My only real exposure to Power Rangers was the amazing full motion video Sega CD game. That is how everything I know about Power Rangers I know because of that game, which was quite good actually.
Yeah.
which, from what I understand, is just like an episode that they tacked.
It is an entire season that they
Oh, it's a season.
they edited down to like I think 25-30 minutes of footage.
Oh man.
It's the origin story of the Rangers and of the Green Ranger
Okay.
all condensed into like a 25-minute full motion video game. That was
pretty
not
fantastic.
bad, to be honest. It was a good way to handle something like that. If you're gonna make a full motion video game for a television show, not a bad way to do it.
There you go.
Sure. So this past weekend was April Fool's.
Yeah, that's
It
always my
was.
favorite time.
Celebrate.
Yeah.
I hate April Fools.
It's my anniversary, so celebrated that because I got married on April
The
Fool's Day.
anniversary.
Yes.
Was this the year when she finally pulled out the big April Fools?
That's right.
How many years ago was it? 9 or 8?
7 years ago.
7?
Wow.
I knew it was, yeah, because a picture popped up on my Facebook timeline from
Vegas.
our time in Vegas.
Oh, nice.
We watched the video on Saturday with my daughter because my daughter wanted to see it.
Yeah.
And, it was very cute.
Oh.
She made lots of comments about how we don't look like that anymore. So
Yes, Daddy, you're so skinny.
Lots of comments how mommy could do better.
yes, but
Jeez, mommy, you stayed pretty.
April Fools. Trickman Terry had his little shindig there for the 25th anniversary of the Shenlong trick at the Pixel Blast Arcade, and that also got me thinking about other EGM April Fools jokes. And it turns out it's the 15th anniversary of the Sonic and Tails in Smash Brothers Melee trick.
Oh man!
Wow,
that still is kind of infamous,
which was entirely CJ's doing.
It was entirely
and foretold the
my doing.
future.
That's
yes,
right. Yeah, it foretold a wonderful future. But so I tweeted a picture of that, got many retweets, a lot of people blaming me for ruining their childhood, which was great.
That's what they should.
Couldn't feel more proud of that. But that was a fun trick to come up with and then do the images for. Yeah, we art director Mike Reisel, if you'll remember,
I remember Mike.
doctored the screenshots for that particular trick, and I took screenshots out of Sonic Adventure 2 for the GameCube, and it took me a while to get believable poses for Sonic and Tails that we could put into a Smash Brothers screenshot and make it look all nice.
But the EGM staff helped you with that because they'd seen lots of shops in their time, so
they had, yeah. And then there's an episode of EGM Live, the long gone podcast recorded back in 2007, I think, where I talked about April Fool's tricks in April Fool's jokes in EGM.
I remember you being on that episode.
Yeah.
So I also remember Game Now. We did another kind of foretelling
Nobody
of the
cares
future.
about Game Now.
Well, yeah, but the April Fool's joke. So do you remember when we said there was an unlock code for Metal Gear Solid 2, complete with pictures, that allowed you to play through the whole game as Snake?
Wasn't an unlock code. It was a separate game released on the Xbox called Metal Gear Solid X. And
yes, that's why I'm saying we foretold the future. But that had not been announced yet. We didn't know that was coming.
Yes, but it wasn't an unlock code. It was we had pranked that it was a separate game.
True.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
True.
So the thing that got me,
I tweeted that out like yesterday,
and I retweeted it on the Player One account.
Yeah,
the thing that got me about the Sonic and Smash Brothers thing, not being a Smash Brothers guy, was that it sounded like an impossible task.
It did.
Excuse me. It sounded like an impossible task. What was it? It was 99 KOs on Cruel Melee or something like that?
20 KOs in Cruel Melee.
But then the thing that got me was
I figured that was just close enough that people would
right, which was
would
always
still be impossible.
The beauty of the good EGM April Fool's tricks. Like I still remember that whole Simon Belmont in the Turtles 2.
Yeah,
and the beauty of that whole trick was that the code was just long enough that if it didn't work, it's like, well, I just didn't input it fast enough. So you do it over and over and over again. But no, I just love that the VHS, because, we are talking a while ago, the VHS tapes that started showing up.
Yep.
They just, not only did they meet the requirements, they destroyed the requirements.
They did.
I remember CJ being like mouth agape at some of the videos that were sent in, like not even knowing that you could do the things that they were doing in those videos.
Yeah. But this is pre-internet days, of course, so you had to send a VHS tape to a magazine. Yeah, when people ended up getting the requirements and, of course, no Sonic or Tails would unlock, we decided to make it a contest and see like how many KOs people could get in Cruel Melee, and it was quite a lot.
What did the winner get?
I think they got a copy of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle for
Oh, so
Oh, it's a
So
great
they were
reward.
punished.
That's a
Like
great
they were
reward.
punished on
like
top
a
of
punish-
everything.
Yeah.
Very, very punishing prize.
Sonic
Yes.
Adventure 2 Battle was never good.
No,
No, it was not.
Are you
No.
kidding? Like actually digging around for stuff as Knuckles? That's the height of fun, man.
no.
Enjoy
And
this Sonic
the
game.
rap
where you
that's
never
played in
play
the
as
background.
Yeah.
I
Another
still
one that I
love.
really liked was the Sega Nomad trick, or not
The
trick,
Neptune.
the
Yeah.
Neptune. Sorry,
Yeah,
Oh, the
Neptune. That was
hamster.
great.
Yeah.
Again,
Neptune that
which
they had made
actually
a few
again
hundred
ended up-
units.
Right, which again ended up being true.
No, I don't think it was.
No, it wasn't a few hundred units, but there are a couple of those
There
systems.
are
in the wild.
some.
They made
yeah,
like
in
10.
test.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the point is that back then nobody thought
No one
anything
knew that.
existed.
Yeah.
Right.
But you certainly couldn't go to a website and try to order
No.
one.
Oh,
But-
you remember the Lord of the Rings kart racing game?
Yes.
That
Yeah.
was a favorite of mine too because that was plausible. It's like after Super Bombad Racing,
That was
you
plausible
thought
after
maybe
Merlin racing on the Nuon.
right.
True.
Yeah. Maybe EA would actually do that.
It's true.
I
That was
wish-
the last April Fool's joke that I did in EGM was the Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah?
racing. Yeah.
Good one.
Indeed. All right. Let's move along to talk about some news. First up, Lego City Undercover, which comes out, I think, this week on the Switch.
Yep.
About Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah. Some packaging leaked out from Europe, I believe, last week that on the back said that it required a 13 gig download in addition to what was on the game card. The front of the box says internet required, and the back of the box said there's a 13 gig download. So
Yeah.
a lot of people very upset about that. Took to the internet to voice their displeasure with that, and it turns out that it was a misprint. Apparently, well, we'll find out on Tuesday if it really was a misprint. But WB says that the entire game is on the card and playable, and that there's a small download that's just a content update, so you don't actually need to download it.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, that's interesting though for any publisher that was thinking about releasing a game that way to get a chance to see how people actually respond to that.
but
Model.
Ethan,
The
let me
answer's not well.
let me remind you on this very show, not 6 months ago, you were playing the World of Final Fantasy on the Vita,
Yep.
which required a download, right?
Yes, it did, and that was a bummer then too. That it's lousy
Yeah.
because again, you want to be in a position in which once you've bought that cartridge, you know that
Yeah.
you can always go back and play it. But again, unfortunately, the reality of the current marketplace is even if it's not something like a download that takes up half of your storage, still, even a smaller download, if that is effectively required or fundamentally changes the game, that's tough for collectors down the road because
Sure.
you have to then have a machine that actually has that save file, that update.
Well, you're talking about every game released at this point. I mean,
anything
And
past
Zelda
the
from-
Xbox, PlayStation 2 generation.
Yeah.
yeah, what game these days doesn't get an update to fix some issue or like the Blaster Master Zero game that didn't have Pro Controller support,
Right.
or
Yeah,
the
right.
Snake Pass update, which turns off the broken HD Rumble support in the initial release. Like there are a lot, or the Zelda Breath of the Wild update that we just got this past week, which helps the frame rate troubles.
Oh, is that what
So I
that's
mean,
for?
there isn't really a game that comes out these days that doesn't have some kind of patch, whether it's to fix something game breaking or not.
Yep, that's true. It's a
Sadly,
real bummer. It's a bummer.
but I think you bring up something that is interesting about third-party publishers thinking about bringing out games that do this. And we were talking about what AAA games you want on the Switch, and Doom 2016, which is a very popular answer, is a pretty large game on the PS4 and Xbox One with a couple of large patch files.
A couple of very large patch files.
Yes.
So,
Like multiple gig patch files.
yeah. Are we going to see this become a thing where the games that are brought to the Switch are larger than Switch physical cart size can hold?
I
And
think
then it would need an additional download.
I think if you have AAA support from third parties, yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any way around it.
Well, I don't think
you're right.
I think that it means more expensive cartridges. I don't think it necessarily means that you have to split the download with the physical cart. I think that brings down the cost of carts so that you can use cheaper carts. But I think if you're talking AAA, they're going to be more likely to want to not have that be a part of the experience. I personally am okay with what they're doing with Rime, which is, if I have the benefit of being able to carry the game around with me and play at home, I'm also okay with spending $10 more to be able to get it on cart, because that's the additional cost subsidized.
That's you. And no offense, but seriously, you're very willing to take a lot of that sort of thing, because you come at things from a collector's perspective. You're very big into being able to have the physical game available to you at all times, and you're also very big into anything on the Switch. Let's be honest. So, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's quite a conundrum moving forward if this system does remain as popular as it is, and third parties do want to support it with their bigger AAA games, because to me, it's almost like another hurdle that they've got to, it's another issue they're going to have to deal with because of exactly what you just said. They have to pick one of two unpopular options.
Yeah.
You put the whole thing on a bigger cartridge, and it potentially either costs you more, or you pass that cost on to the consumer, which is going to be met with, that's a negative from the corporation side, or a negative from the consumer side. Or you come out and say, you need to have who knows how big of a download on day one. You need to have internet connection. You need to have a download. And we saw over this past, you're right, it was interesting over this past week because the reaction was crazy.
It was crazy.
I honestly don't think it was that unreasonable to be upset about it, but it was a huge reaction.
Here's the thing that it brings into focus, and Greg, you talked about this 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think, about the SD card being a hidden cost. And I think that once games, even physical games, start requiring a large amount of space, yes, an SD card becomes a required purchase and it becomes a hidden cost.
And the other, and just to complete that thought too, the other, because we've talked about this before, and we talked about it with the Wii, we talked about it with the Wii U, and all of us who've been in game development know that this is the case. The problem that the Nintendo consoles have had for quite a while now is that you can't make one game and easily port it to different systems. It seems like the Switch has actually rectified that to a point. I think horsepower wise it doesn't, but with Unreal and Unity support, it has rectified that issue, at least for smaller games. But again, the way that big studios work now is we get this out the door on physical media and there's a day one patch, and that is normal now. It's not lazy developers. It's not the exception to the rule anymore. It is the rule.
Well, oftentimes even on disc, it's not 13 gig download, it's 13 gig patch.
Right. And what I'm saying is it's like now that it's another conundrum with the Switch, because now that it seems like they've actually gotten more in line where it might be easier to port games over to the Switch. Now there's this element to it, which is completely different than how you have to handle it on Steam, PS4, Xbox One. So
which was disastrous in terms of support for N64 as well, if you remember.
Yes, which that's what I'm saying. The barrier to entry keeps getting a little higher. I'm not saying it's going to be the end of the world, but there are these little bits and pieces that just make it a little bit more difficult.
So which do you think is worse, the Rime approach or the Lego City Undercover approach?
Lego City.
Which is worse? I think you have to measure it on a case by case. I think personally that a lot of people have bought extra SD cards for their Switches.
Sure.
I think, and
I would honestly suggest that everybody do it.
I think that's why we problem call it a hidden cost, because I do think you need to have one. You need to have one.
I don't think this issue stops with Lego City Undercover.
It doesn't.
Especially if we want AAA multi-platform games on the Switch, the only way that we're going to get that is with a large download. Even if you buy the physical card, like I don't know what the card sizes are. I think the
That's
largest
a good
game,
point. Yeah.
the largest game on a card right now is Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2 in Japan, I think, and that's 32 gigs. Right?
Yeah.
I would actually tend to think that the better option is to have a download. You don't want your games to be more expensive. That's a terrible idea. Like,
well, the other thing that it introduces is not only is a game card a more expensive piece of media, I would imagine it would mean that the price on the Switch version couldn't drop as quickly as other systems.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to be taking a bath on that game card price,
right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's going to affect the digital side as well, because retailers understandably don't want to be undercut, and so it makes it tougher to do those deep cut sales.
Absolutely agree, and that's just it. I mean, at the end of the day, like, you know, needing an internet. Well, I don't think needing an internet connection at this point is really an inconvenience, but that's just me. But needing to have space to download something for the new game you bought, to me, is much less inconvenient and much less off-putting than walking into a store and seeing that the game is $10 more expensive.
Well, here's the thing about the Lego City, like the 13 gig download. I can see people who have metered internet could see that as a problem for sure. But that's not only a Switch problem, that is a problem on every other system where you have multiple gig patches.
Though to be fair, they all come with terabyte drives. That, I think, is the big
That's true.
difference.
That's true.
But a metered internet connection is an issue.
It's still an issue, yeah.
To be even more fair, the game apparently doesn't require a 13 gig download.
No, that's what we're saying. I mean,
that's what we're saying.
This is, but
I know. But
just
that you keep referring to it as the Lego City problem, which
it's not a problem.
Really, it's not really the problem.
That's true. It's a problem. It's a problem hypothesized by Lego City Undercover.
Well, I think Ethan made a really good point. It almost felt like a successful experiment in what will the public reaction be when this inevitably does happen with another game.
Well, and herein
it kind of has to, right? If we want the AAA franchises to come over, like, it's going to happen.
Right.
Herein lies the other big thing. I'm always one to speak about the issues of friction. And so the whole benefit of the Switch is that it's a more frictionless experience. But if you're adding this quandary where you have to figure out, well, do I have enough room on my memory card? You know, do I need to expand my space? That becomes more friction, more to think about, more to worry about. And then you might just say, I just don't want to worry about that. I'm going to get the PS4 version.
Which is absolutely correct, which is, again, why I go back to what I said weeks ago, which is that 32 gigabytes is not nearly enough memory on board.
No, it isn't. But
well, you can rest assured that if they rebuild the machine, if they give you like a version 2.0 of the Switch, that's one of the first things they'll fix. What
are they going to do?
Sure.
If they give you 64 gigs of internal memory, that's still not enough.
They need to increase it by like a magnitude.
I think it should have a terabyte like the other machines.
Well, it's not going to until flash storage at that size is cheaper. I mean, look at the storage size on your iPhone or iPad. Like, the most expensive models now get 256 gigs. So we're talking about a portable device here. You can't really compare the pricing for a hard drive that you get for a PS4 or Xbox One into this, even though as gamers we want to compare those and equalize that. It's just not, it's never going to be the case, because the Switch, even though Nintendo's marketing it as a home console, it has the drawbacks of a portable system.
And that's why, and we've had these discussions for weeks and weeks, and that's exactly it. There's no looking at this thing and only comparing it to one or the other. They've put themselves in a position by creating a very interesting machine that they're going to be constantly compared to both.
Well, and actually the one persistent matter of friction that irritates me, much as I love the machine, is when I want to switch cartridges, because I'm trying to do as many cartridges as I can as opposed to digital. It feels more comfortable to actually pull the machine out of the cradle and pull the flat back and switch it, as opposed to just letting it sit in the cradle and change the cartridge. Just the way it's set up. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
It's a portable machine.
But yeah, I feel like I'm switching carts on a portable machine.
Yep.
I don't, because I'm all digital, so it doesn't matter.
No, digital.
No, but well, at least I have a 200 gig card, which is additive to the 32 gigs that come in the system. So I have 232 gigs of space. That'll last me maybe through the year, hopefully.
Sure. I mean, you look at it this way. You're basically creating multi-game carts.
Yeah.
If nothing else.
Well, I wonder if it works that way. Actually, I
would hope
don't even know.
But
I would hope that it would too.
Now that we're talking about that, I wonder if it does, because that's not the way it worked for like the DS, was it? The 3DS.
I don't think that was the way.
To your system.
But at least with the 3DS, those games were small enough that really didn't matter.
Now I'm curious if that's possible.
Yeah, me too.
Because that would actually be kind of the best approach.
Even like even if you get a 32 gig or a 64 gig or a 128 gig card, you're hopefully that'll smooth things out for at least a little while.
Yeah.
Until larger cards are available at lower prices.
And I agree with you, Ethan, that is one of the beautiful things about the system right now, is that it's a frictionless experience. But it's also the exact same thing you go through with any console now, because when you first get your Xbox or your PlayStation 4, it's a pain in the ass to sit there and wait for something to install.
Oh yeah.
But you're not worried about space until a couple of years in.
Well,
and then you're constantly worried about space.
Yeah.
When these consoles first launched and came with 500 gigs, I mean, since you have to do full game installs, that really wasn't a whole lot of space.
No.
And still isn't. I installed a 2 terabyte drive in my PS4, and that's been good so far.
Mm-hmm.
But that was an extra cost, hidden cost. All right.
Yeah, I think just one last thing though. The issue of the hidden costs, I'm more able to see Stewart's argument on that, but at the same time, it's more of a hidden cost for gamers like us that buy lots and lots of content.
No, I think it's a hidden cost. I mean, Lego City Undercover is the definition of a more casual, younger player focused game. And if you're going to require a download, and it doesn't require a 13 gig download, but hypothetically, if it did,
let's pretend that this big mistake that happened this week was actually true.
That's right. Let's pretend that it was true. And they were telling parents you had to buy an extra memory card. I mean, that right there is one of the worst things. The fact that this is a Lego game that it's not doing it, but it could have done it. That would have been the worst.
And I mean, though, this isn't a Nintendo only issue, and I know that because people, when I was saying,
pretend CJ attempted to assassinate the president. Now I know he didn't.
Wow, we just got flagged.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Phil. No, and I mean, it's not that this is a Nintendo only issue, And people a couple weeks ago, when I was making that whole hidden cost argument, were like, "Well, you have to do the same thing with your phones," and yeah, you do. That's absolutely true, and I don't think it's okay there either, but it is something that nobody has figured out yet.
Well, and actually, though, that's I think a very important point, is that when you look at storage on your iPhone, right, not only is it ludicrously expensive, the difference between, say, a 64 and 128 gig phone, but you can't update that beyond, right?
No,
so with the Switch, you can upgrade to up to 2 terabytes when that becomes viable.
Mm-hmm.
Apple never gives you that. I mean, it's great compared to that.
And
I'm not saying it's good, but
yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. My answer to those kinds of arguments are always like, yes. And if Apple was the only other company in the world making this type of technology, then Nintendo just won the world. But
yeah, but no one seems to complain about when Apple does it because they're used to it.
Yes, they do complain.
Everybody complains when Apple does it.
Yes, they do.
You need to start talking to people more when you're out and about rather than playing your game. Because people, the second you flash an iPhone, there's always at least 5 people in the room ready to go, "Oh, iPhone! I don't like iPhone."
Well, that's true.
They're happy to tell you why, and that's always one of the reasons.
Every time in the last 3 or 4 years that Apple introduced a new iPhone where the lowest model was 16 gigs, there was a shitload of complaints like, why is 16 the lowest? It should be 32 and blah, blah, blah. And now 32 is the lowest, but they have done different configurations. Now it's 32, 128, 256, whereas before it was 16, 32, 64.
Yeah. Before it was ludicrous, really ludicrous, and holy shit. Weird.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's just gone up with with the needs of iPhone users. And I'm fairly sure that Nintendo will do something there. Maybe. I mean, who knows?
I think they will in subsequent iterations. I mean, memory is always getting cheaper.
Yeah.
extra memory for the
it'll be
Switch.
something that they can add without adding cost.
They'll fix that before they fix the battery.
Oh yeah, the 200 gig card that I have was only like $70. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's for 200 more gig.
Yeah,
like the 32.
But that's
like
one less
$30. What's that?
It's one less game you get to buy as well.
Exactly. That is a great way to look
true.
at it.
Yeah,
That's exactly right.
You're right. All right.
Having one less game to buy is how I see it every time Ethan buys 2 games from GameStop without taking advantage of any of the 20% off promotions offered by Amazon or Best Buy.
Man, I'm telling you, and I'm just going to tell you one more time.
Throwing money away.
But my GameStop is like Cheers. You know, we got the Ted Danson of Cheers at my GameStop. You know, that knows my name. It's a great experience.
I thought you were just going to say everybody's drunk.
Yeah. Well, you'd have to be to shop at GameStop.
Well, you know, in fact, I'd go one step further. It's an older guy. It may, in fact, be Ted Danson that is working at my GameStop. So
Ted Danzig? What?
Ted Danzig. That's a different GameStop.
That's Danzig is working at Ethan's GameStop.
That's right. All right. Destiny 2. It got announced. It's coming in September, and we got a little trailer for it. And of course, they announced limited edition stuff that you can buy and pre-order now because you know those will be hard to find come September.
Yep, and there's going to be lots of people very excited about that game. I'm not one of them, but there's going to be a lot of people excited. I don't think.
Yeah. And that will be the last time you hear about Destiny 2 on the Player One podcast.
Yeah. I'll buy it and play it.
Great. I'm sure it'll be great.
I'll definitely buy it and play it.
Yeah,
but we're probably not going to talk about it a whole lot on this show. So there you go.
But we got to make room for more Zelda talk.
That's right.
That's true. I mean, we got another year of this. So
speaking of things we won't be talking about too much more on the show, Mad Catz. Filing for bankruptcy. Shutting down.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Almost 30 years. Almost 30 years old, that company.
I bought, I think the first Mad Catz controller I bought was for the original Xbox to play Halo because getting an extra Duke was pretty difficult when the Xbox first came out.
Mm-hmm.
And the third-party controllers were smaller than the Duke and actually worked pretty well. So
they were saying, of course, that the reason this is happening, mainly the reason this is happening because they bet big on Rock Band 4, right?
Yeah, probably.
And
they bet
that's a lot of stock.
They basically bet the entire company on Rock Band 4, and it didn't work out for them, sadly.
Yep. Hey, I just wish that they were around to actually make like VR peripherals because when I broke an HTC Vive controller at work by slamming it into a wall, it cost us about $180 to replace it.
Yeah.
There's got to be a story relating to this that we have.
Yeah. You can't just drop that and say.
We were testing our game, and what was funny is that like the Reddit post that we put up that got the most traffic by far was the broken Vive controller because it was just responses of horror from people who had the machine, like knowing that you can't go into a store and replace it. And when we mentioned the cost, because as I said, it was about $180 after tax to get it replaced. That just freaked people the heck out. Yeah,
it's coming out of my salary.
No, that didn't happen.
Ow.
That's the challenge of having a limited space for room scale.
Yeah. It's funny because we haven't broken any of our controllers, thank goodness. But the room that we do our tests in has a low, like a drop ceiling, with those panels in it, and one of the panels is pretty beat up at this point because people keep like that, and they just slam the controller right into the panel.
Geez.
Luckily, the controller is way more robust than the panel is, but
yeah. Well, actually, deeply embarrassing incident. We had a family get together at work where you could bring friends and family in to try our new game, and it was a robot boxing game. And if you are small, you're set so that you're not looking the robot in the eye, and so you have some advantages punching him. My son, who is 6, got the gear on and started flailing away. He was really successful, but then he started screaming repeatedly, "Punching you right in the wiener, right in the wiener." Mm-hmm. And it's just like I was trying to tell him to stop. Yeah.
Except it's Ethan's family, so that's not the word he was using.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, speaking of VR,
Yeah.
and people we may not have
Ethan.
talked about.
Ethan's
Again.
really hyped up now about the possibility of a VR Troopers movie. That's
What?
That's
No,
his new
that's
big
not-
thing.
That's
You
It's
hear
not
not.
that? You hear that excited? What? Really? Could it be? Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was so great. I can't wait for a VR Troopers.
Oh, until you said that, I didn't even remember what VR Troopers were.
Yeah,
You know what they have
sure,
to? They have to
sure.
bring back Captain Power. You remember
Yeah,
Captain
that'd be
Power?
great.
Ethan was more of a Beetleborgs guy.
I hate you guys.
Nope,
All
don't
right.
remember that either. Anyway, go ahead, CJ.
So Palmer Luckey is leaving Facebook, or he's already
Good.
Yeah.
Surprised it took this
Yeah.
long.
So you can now buy your Oculus products without
Clear
worry.
conscience.
Palmer Luckey
With-
leaving Facebook. I did not see that coming.
You didn't?
Said no one ever.
I did not see that coming.
Oh,
Right.
See,
That's-
because
yeah,
he's-
I get it. It's
Yeah.
a yeah.
It's an alt-right chick.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh no.
There you go.
Sound effects.
is that a match game sound effect there?
That is just for our morning zoo.
Okay.
Yes.
Alrighty.
So yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Of course, it probably was determined really quickly after he went into hiding. I only think that probably it was a matter of just getting the severance package defined that took as long as it did, and also the court case, of course.
there you go.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll hurt Oculus at all. I think that they handled it well. They didn't say actually explicitly if he was terminated or if he chose to go. I don't believe it's probably mutual, but it had to happen.
Okay. I think you're right. All right. Quick reminder for the people watching live: if you tweet to @P1Podcast with your vote for what this episode should be called,
Yeah.
and specify whether you want iOS, Android, or a PC code for Out of the Park Baseball, you could win a copy of Out of the Park Baseball 18. So do that. And now, I think we should go into what we've been playing.
All right.
The weekly Zelda circle jerk.
I'm done with Zelda. That thing's that's old news.
You're not. You're not. You were having a little discussion about that on the channel here when I logged on, that you're not really done with Zelda. You
Well,
finished it.
Yeah, that's what I said. I finished its old news. That's the joke.
Yeah.
And I've been continuing to play it for 20 plus
Right.
hours.
Yep.
Oh,
So-
man.
Ethan, I believe
Yes.
you have finished Breath of the Wild as well.
I have. I finished 85 hours in, and that does include the amount of time that I played the first half of the game before starting again from scratch. But 85 hours, and I, like CJ, found myself after finishing just carrying right on and continuing to play more.
Because there's nothing else to play on the Switch.
That's not
Well,
true either.
actually, here's the thing: is I did, in preparation for this inevitability, I got from Redbox and got set up on my hard drive Horizon Zero Dawn, and I was intending to play that instead because it was right there, sitting, waiting. I held on to that game for 3 days before returning it, every day thinking I was going to play, and every
This
day
is gonna-
choosing
this
to
is
play
gonna-
Zelda instead.
This is going to end with you couldn't play because it was tethered to the TV, right?
Yep.
No, actually, that's part of it. But the big thing was just that I have multiple flights coming up, and I didn't want to get started on something that I couldn't.
That you couldn't finish from 30,000 feet.
Right. So it was just that was inconvenient. So
there's a nice selection of multi-years old indie games that you could be playing on the Switch instead.
Yeah.
That's true. No, or brand new games like Snake Pass and
I'm only
Master Master.
kidding.
Snake Pass,
I'm
yep.
only kidding.
and No More Heroes. Yep.
No More Heroes.
I do want to play Snake Pass.
Or Has Been
actually.
Heroes. Jeez.
Has Been Heroes, yes.
Yeah. Learn the names of your mediocre exclusive physical
Oh, so
games.
you've played them? You've played them? What did you think
I
of
have.
Has Been Heroes then?
I thought it was mediocre.
Really?
And exclusive.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the title of it is also Has Been Heroes, not No More Heroes, like you may have heard on some podcasts.
Yeah.
Though I want to get into that for a second. So, what did you think about it was mediocre? Because it got mediocre
Still never
reviews
played
as
it.
well.
He has
The-
not
the-
played it.
Effing with you.
The graphics.
I see. Okay.
Wait, Phil's going on Metacritic right now. Everybody,
How did you
Give
know?
him a second. Give him a second.
How did you know?
Well,
Hold on here.
Phil, I don't know if you realize, but everybody can see your search history now. So
that's right.
Oh crap! I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Eventually, though, the heavy emphasis on the luck of level generation, the frustration of enemy repetition, the poor tutorial, and the tendency to overrun you with tough enemies spoil the whole. Hard games are great, Ethan, but there are limits. 61 IGN. I mean, Phil.
I mean, Phil. This is the best what you've been playing discussion we've had in over a month.
Okay, hold on a second here. Average Metacritic for Has Been Heroes 65. Let's see.
What I'm looking for though is other people.
Well,
I'm
these
looking
reviews
for
are
other
written by
people who
people.
played it.
You know,
These
a
reviews are written by
lower
people who played
Metacritic does not mean that it's a bad game. It doesn't mean
Right.
that
Well, I'm just curious.
You might not like it, but there might be some people that did.
The key thing, I don't have any problem
Royale.
with somebody dislike. Oh, Clash Royale's like slot machine.
86% for Clash
It's-
Royale. 20
As a
points
slot,
higher.
dude, as a slot, it's totally an 86. I can see. Not as a video game, but as a slot, it's an 86.
Listen, you cannot come on this show and slot shame Clash Royale.
Wow.
I'd like to vote slot shaming for our episode title.
You got to
Steam
tweet it in. You
please.
got to tweet it in.
PC.
So no, I'm
Steam
looking.
code, please.
I'm interested in talking to people who've played Has Been Heroes, even if they didn't like it, because I'd just be curious to have a conversation as to why. Because it did get really middling reviews, which when I popped it in, got me anticipating that it would be a pretty bad game. But as it turns out, as a roguelike, I'm actually having a lot of fun with it. It's just it's paced like a roguelike. So like Binding of Isaac, it's probably not the best thing in the world to, try to play for 10 hours at a time necessarily. But if you do it like for one session, put it down, do something else, come back to it, it's pretty sticky and it's a lot of fun. So no one else played the game on the show.
No,
a lot of fun.
I didn't pull the trigger on it. I did Snake Pass instead.
So I'm really interested to hear about Snake Pass, actually.
Yeah, what's the hubbub with this?
Yeah.
Well, you want me to start talking about Snake Pass?
Well, nobody wants to talk about whatever game Ethan's talking
Has
about.
Been Heroes. I want to hear about Has Been Heroes.
Yeah, I'll keep it brief, but it's a fun premise. It has a really nice simple art style, and it's fast paced. It's like you're constantly running from left to right and stopping the motion to make strategic decisions in a kind of Plants vs Zombies meets Darkest Dungeon type of play experience. And it's a roguelike, so once one of your three guys dies, it's the end of the game and you have to restart. So I mean, you will hate it if you don't like roguelikes, and I'm not saying it's as good as something like Binding of Isaac. I don't think it is, but I think it's a nice roguelike experience to kind of add to the library of games, and I've been playing it a lot more than I expected to.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would recommend that one.
Alrighty then. You want to talk about the rest of what you've been playing there, Ethan?
Yeah, sure. Well, why don't we move to Snake Pass then? Because that's the other one that I've been playing that's been new.
All right.
I want to call this out because this is one of the main reasons I'm interested in it. Is it's from Sumo Digital, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So they're pretty awesome. So
This
I'm
was
really
apparently a game jam game that they had
right on.
internally, and then they started development a year ago, and it's already out. So that's pretty quick turnaround, and it's the first game on the Switch that uses the Unreal Engine.
And apparently it took them
nice.
2 months to port it over.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, that's great. That's not something that was easy to do on previous Nintendo consoles, as far as I know. So
For sure.
It's true, though there are performance issues on it, especially on handheld mode. It looks like it's running closer to maybe 540, 480 or something like that. It looks kind of pixely on the actual screen. It looks better. It looks much closer to 700p when it's docked, and it's the first time I've seen such a notable difference in performance. But that one I definitely prefer to play docked when I can because it just looks quite a bit better.
just to bring this conversation to a screeching halt, Ethan, you should turn off your video.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of pixelated,
Yeah, seriously,
it's
you
looking
are.
like Snake Pass on the handheld mode.
Sure.
I
sure.
actually,
So.
speaking about resolution on Snake Pass, I started playing it in handheld mode, and I thought it was fine. Ethan's probably right. It's probably using a lower resolution, but it didn't bother me actually. So
What amazes? Yeah. So, what's the game? Like we've talked about the performance. What's the game? How does it play? What's it about?
The game's a 3D platformer, basically, where you are controlling a snake, and your movement is such that you have to slither around. So you have to hold the ZR trigger and then make left-right motions with the analog stick to actually propel yourself forward.
Okay.
And then you can press the A button to lift your head up a little bit. And so there are areas in the stages where it'll be like a bamboo ladder, and you have to work out how to coil yourself around there to climb up and get to a higher platform.
Okay.
Yeah, I have really mixed feelings about it because on the one hand, it feels unlike anything you've ever played before. And since we've played pretty much everything, that kind of novelty is refreshing. It's a game that has no real enemies. There's no attacks. And you're getting this feeling of actually manipulating the body of a snake, which I've never done before in a game. The problem that I've had with it is that as I am getting further into the game, I'm spending a lot of time on areas that I'm kind of getting tripped up on in terms of how to progress. I think I know how to do it, but then I'm not sure if I'm just doing the wrong thing or if I'm just not skilled enough. And my skill overall doesn't seem to be improving much as I continue to play. So there was one area on, I think, like the 8th or 9th board where I tried, must have been like 30 times, trying to do something before going around and doing it a different way. And the different way I did it felt like it was the wrong way to do it, almost like I was cheating or breaking it. And I was able to complete the board, but that was not satisfying. And again, if I'm repeating something that many times, I want to have the feeling like I'm slowly but surely getting better at the game, that I'm better understanding how to do it mechanically, and I don't feel that right now. So I just kept falling over and over and over, and it got really frustrating.
Yeah, I think you're probably in the same place with this as I am, where the control hasn't really clicked for me yet, and the camera control is not great in this game either. And I find that now I'm so used to gyro controls, I end up, and I'm playing in handheld mode, so I'm like twisting the Switch around, figuring that that's going to help me control the camera, which of course it isn't. And it's just like this instinctual thing that I'm doing, and I end up like not being able to see the Switch screen. Like turn it too far. Anyway, that's it. That's my problem, really, not the game's problem. But
the camera is a problem though. Overall,
the camera is definitely
it really
a problem
is
overall, and I think I also am not a fan of when you're playing a game and you do a thing that feels like you're breaking the game to finish an area or whatever.
Yeah,
like you want to feel like you're doing whatever the game's asking you to do the correct way. You don't want to feel like, oh, I have to exploit a bug in the game or like a problem with the level design to clear this one challenge.
It discourages you from getting the minor items too. So now I'm finding that I'm just getting the 3 main gems and trying to complete the stage instead of feeling like, oh, okay, now I'm mastering how to move around as a snake. So I think I can now get all of the coins that are hidden in devious places. I don't even want to think about trying to do that now.
I'm right there with you. Yeah, they have like 5 extra coins per stage or whatever, and they're always in out of the way places that I'm just like, all right, I'm not going to spend the 20 minutes fighting with the control to get that coin. Like, it's not worth it for me.
Well, that's too bad. Because this is a game that I kind of had on my, whenever I finish Zelda and I want to buy a new Switch game, it's like maybe that'll be the one. But now I feel like that's going to be a Steam sale game.
Reviews on Snake Pass, I think, were better than Has Been Heroes.
Yeah, but we both know that there are no real people on Metacritic that have actually played those games. I wanted to talk to some people who had actually played that game.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I am looking forward to that shooter that comes out this week on Switch. I forget the name of it.
Yeah.
I think it's like an attractive, explosive...
Graceful Explosion Machine or something
Graceful Explosion Machine. There you go.
Yeah, I want that. And of course, I'm looking forward to Lego City Undercover. But I think it was Stuart that kind of indirectly brought up the big question of like, after you finish Zelda, what's next? Because having gotten there, I am still traveling around Hyrule and finding shrines, but I am now trying to play other games too. And the first one I jumped to actually was I Am Setsuna, which is very pretty, and it actually is well written and has really interesting characters. But by some estimates, it's supposedly like just a 20-hour RPG, and
That actually sounds great, but
well, and you might like it, but like, you know, it's very traditional. You know, so it feels very much like a Blue Dragon, which CJ really liked.
Sounds good to me.
It doesn't do anything kind of different or cool with the battle mechanics the way like Bravely Default did, but it feels more like kind of a filler thing, something you play because there's not that much out right now, but it's not a bad choice, and RPGs are nice to carry around with you.
I mean, honestly, like everything you just said makes me want to play it, and I'm not trying to be, you know, I'm not trying to be. That's just because I've said for a long time now that Japanese RPGs, they left me behind at some point in the last 10 years,
right?
And I don't have that's one of the in general, like I don't have 85 to 100 hours to sink into an RPG. So a 20-hour RPG that feels more traditional actually sounds like exactly the type of thing I want to play.
Yeah, really.
It's a very kind of morose story, but again, because it's well written and the characters are interesting, it really, really is impactful. The basic gist of it is there is a young woman that is going to be a sacrifice to a giant monster, and you have to guard her as she reaches her place of sacrifice. So this entire time as you're getting close to her, you know that she's going to be sacrificed, kind of Clash of the Titans style, right, to this giant monster.
Isn't that pretty much the story of Final Fantasy X?
It is, but they don't explicitly tell you that. Here, it's explicit from the outset, which does make a difference because you know you're bringing a character, you know, to her death, and you know it's very melancholy. But my presumption is that you are able to somehow kill the monster instead of let her get sacrificed. But I don't know. You know, that's just my guess as to where the story would inevitably have to go. But it's just really interesting because when you're running across characters and you know, you make clear that you are with the sacrifice, they treat her with great reverence, very similar to the way they do with Yuna in Final Fantasy X. It's a really good wrapper for a RPG. It's also, again, it's made in Unity and it's very, very pretty.
That's one of the. I've been meaning to check that game out for ages, so maybe that'll be the one. Maybe I will eventually.
Yeah. So again, for me though, it's been kind of that is my new base game, and then playing more of Shovel Knight, which I never ever actually had beaten on prior platforms. So I'm really getting a lot out of that. I'm really enjoying it.
It's a good game.
Yes, yeah, and then playing around with Snake Pass and Binding of Isaac and Tasman Heroes as just kind of the additional mix if I want something, you know, that's not a large, big story-based game.
Alrighty. Phil.
So I was just going to say, as far as Switch games, I'm really waiting for Pocket Rumble.
Yeah, that looks cool.
Is that going to be good? Is that going to be good?
It's on Steam.
I hope so.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
Pocket Rumble is the game that looks like a Neo Geo Pocket Color fighter.
Ooh.
Have you not seen that?
Announced for Switch during GDC.
No, I'm gonna look it up while we're talking about it.
I'm going to, you know what? Here, I'm going to send you a link right there. Boom. Click on that. Click on that and tell me that doesn't look fantastic.
It sure does. And also it does have the simplified controls as well, which is great.
Oh,
yeah.
It's like button presses. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Wow, that does look like a Neo Geo Pocket Color game.
It really does.
The sprite, the art style of the sprites looks like something you would have seen in like a King of Fighters.
Definitely.
Yep. Yeah, and a fighting games are nice to have on the platform. I was actually surprised. I got my first monthly report of the ranked games I've been playing and how much. And the second most played game in my library is King of Fighters 98.
King of Fighters 98 is a great game.
It's really good.
It is. I've been playing a little more Shovel Knight. Just getting further into that again, and I busted out diving back into what's it called? Blaster Master
Zero.
Blaster Master Zero, which
I've been playing that too. How far in are you?
Not terrifically far. I just got to Area 2. I got a little ways into Area 2.
Oh, okay.
We have the little radar scope beeping and guiding you through the level, that sort of thing.
That thing is handy.
Yes,
that's very handy.
Yeah.
Although I would have appreciated a more detailed map, which I don't think, unless I missed it, the game does not provide you with such a thing.
Right.
But I'm at Zone 4 now.
Oh, geez.
And I'm really having fun with it. I played Blaster Master back in the day, of course.
Right.
but I never like got really far into it. It was one of those games where I rented it.
It's a very difficult game.
It's
Bought
not an
it?
easy game at all.
Yeah, and I had fun with the initial stages, and then I just kept getting to a point where I couldn't get past, or I didn't even know what the game wanted me to do.
For as much reverence as that game is held in, I'm guessing your story is probably more common than you think.
Probably. But with
Yeah.
Blaster Master Zero, I'm actually getting pretty far, and the game design and layout is such that I can actually understand what's going on and where the game wants me to go next. So, in that respect, it's a whole lot better. Even though I guess it's kind of a pseudo remake, it's not like an actual full remake.
Yeah.
But it uses some of the things in the original. But I am having a lot of fun with it. I'm at the 4th zone of the game, and since you can pretty much save anywhere you want and you have unlimited continues, I'm pretty sure I'll end up finishing this one.
Yay.
Yeah.
I honestly think that will be the next Switch game I get, because I've been sort of fighting the urge to just buy it now.
It's really good, and it's only $10.
Yeah, I know, but
it's a good price.
I don't want to go. I'm really trying to. I don't know if you've noticed this on the show or not, but I'm really trying to curb my spending on this stuff. So I don't want to buy something just to have it sit on my hard drive for a year before I look at it.
Yeah.
So,
this is worth your $10. I'm telling you.
Yeah, really, really nice graphics, and the soundtrack's awesome too.
Yes, it is.
So definitely worth a purchase.
Yeah, great game. Great game. That's about all I've been playing, though.
Alrighty. Well, I busted out Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh,
nice.
Really?
How are you liking it?
Finally.
I should get mine out.
You know, I really like it. I like the combat in it. It feels really good. The thing that strikes me as odd is, okay, I played Zelda Breath of the Wild for over or just about 100 hours at this point, and I come into Horizon Zero Dawn, which is another open world game, and towards the beginning you're in this city called Mother's Heart, and you witness like
it should be called.
all right.
It'd be called
Mother's what?
Mother's fart. Mother's fart. That's the joke. Mother's fart. It's not funny. Stop laughing.
That's pretty funny, though.
Not funny.
It's pretty good.
Keep going.
The funniest part about it is how unfunny Ethan finds it.
That's
The
really
funniest
great.
part about it was Ethan yelling microphone. But so you see like a little ceremony, or like there's a speech where something happens, and after that I wanted to go up on the stage, and so I go over to the stairs by the stage and I walk up them, and I start like jumping up, and couldn't get on the stage. It was an invisible wall that prevented me from doing so. And
Now,
it was very weird.
to be fair, though, when you're playing Zelda, you are in a position where you're often having your ability to go anywhere removed whenever you're in the shrine. They take away all of the Divine Beast abilities. You can't climb walls and shrines.
You're right. Yeah, but that's very consistent.
I did not
because
realize
you're in
that
an-
until today, actually. But
You're in an enclosed space. You don't have any of the Divine Beast powers. You can't
that's
climb the
not.
wall.
How does that make any kind of sense? But go ahead.
Consistent within the shrines, but in Horizon Zero Dawn, in this particular area, I was outside. It was an area where there were open air things all around, and I wasn't allowed to go up on the stage. I just thought that was a very odd thing. But aside from that, which isn't really it's not a negative at all. The game looks great. I think it plays great. I'm into the story. I can see, how it's garnered such great reviews, and I'm looking forward to playing more of it. The unfortunate thing is that since you can't do off TV play with the PS4 as easily as you can with the Switch, I'll probably play it in smaller chunks. But I am really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that is one that I am seriously considering buying. I think I'll wait until after my travels. But the other one again that I'm actually super interested in is Persona 5. That's one that really is high on my list. So I'll have to decide between the two of those.
Okay. totally different games from totally different genres. But yeah, I can see that. So yeah, I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn, and I'm really just at the beginning of it, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. I also played Rain World from Adult Swim Games.
Of course you did.
You may have heard of it.
How'd you get a copy?
It came out last Tuesday.
I saw some ads for it
Did you?
last night while I was watching the April Fool's stream of Rick and Morty season 3, episode 1.
There you
I'll have
go.
you know.
That's a
So,
great episode, isn't it?
it's a great show and a great episode of that show.
Yes, indeed. But Rain World, you play as a slug cat, which is like this sort of very low on the food chain animal, kind of looks like a ferret, like a white ferret type creature that bounds around and is basically prey to everything in the environment. And it's a side-scrolling adventure game where you have to reunite with your family. And to do that, you have to go through a lot of harsh conditions, finding nests and food to survive. And it's also really hard, but it's a lot of fun. And it's from Adult Swim Games, available now on PS4 and PC. So buy it.
Cool.
Because it's really fun. Anyway, Greg.
Before we get into what you've been playing, we should update people who may not have been here earlier about our giveaway this week. And when I say we, I mean you, because you're the one who has the script in front of you for it.
You want me to read the script?
Yeah, I think so.
Again?
Well, at least let people know what's going on. I mean, we've got 47 people in the channel and want to make sure that they know what's happening.
Okay. Yeah, people who are watching live, if you joined us late, what we're doing, we're running a contest with Out of the Park Baseball 18, who are very generous. They gave us 3 codes for some of their games, PC, iOS, and Android code. So basically, tweet to @P1 Podcast what you think the title of this show should be this week, and what your platform of choice would be on that tweet as well. And we'll select somebody, or 3 people actually, to get codes at the end of the show.
Ooh, there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
As for what I've been playing this week, we haven't really talked about this, but I'm going to bring it up anyway because I have still been playing Breath of the Wild. I have not finished it yet, but I did finish my second Divine Beast.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Went through the Goron City and did that whole thing.
Oh, interesting that you chose that one. Your first one was the Zoras?
Yes.
Okay.
So I sort of was thinking about this a little bit more, not to get this whole argument going again, because I know people love it when I say that there's not enough to do in this world, and how I'm walking around not knowing what to do. I kind of realized that, because I said a couple of weeks ago that I feel like the sort of open world setup takes away from the guided feeling that Nintendo does so well. How they sort of perfectly ramp up difficulty in their previous games. And I think I figured out why I was feeling that way. It was the choice. It was the choice I made, in as far as the order of these beasts that I went in, because I went from, like, the game kind of pushes you to the east to get into those first couple of towns, so you can find out about the divine beasts. Then I went to Zora's Domain and did that whole section, and in that area, everything was awesome. Right? It felt very well designed. But then I went up to Akala after that, which is in the northeastern part of the map. And once I'd done a few different missions up there, then I sort of, checked in on the main quest, which was where the other 3 divine beasts. Oh, there's one down there on Death Mountain. So I tried to get to Death Mountain from the Akala Flats, which, by the way, is next to impossible.
Sure.
You can get there, but you can't get anywhere. And Death Mountain is massive.
Yes.
So even when I thought I had actually circled it and found, like, there's a trial area where there's 3 Gorons there, the climbing challenge, I thought, okay, now I found the Gorons and now I'm ready to start this whole. And I was still really far away from where I had to be.
Yeah, you were.
And the whole thing is what I really should have done. And there was no way to know this because I didn't have a map and nobody in the game told me, but that I should have really teleported back to like the southeastern side of the map and approached Death Mountain from the south.
Yeah. That's hard to know. When you unlock the map, it really does help.
Clear.
Yeah,
Yes.
because you have the path.
Yeah.
But the thing that really stumped me there, and I admit to having used the guide, was I kept wanting to get up there, but I was burning up, and ended up just checking on IGN to see what the hell do I do, because I can't.
And that's what I did.
Yeah.
Because again, I came at it from the north, and you can climb up a fair way, but eventually you'll catch on fire. And you've never even spoken to anybody about any sort of flame-resistant potions at this point because you haven't come at it from the south, which is where you're introduced to it. So the game really needed to funnel you. And once you find the mouth of that, you're great. But until you find it, you're lost.
Here's another example of doing the thing wrong. I went to the Goron City without a flame-resistant potion.
Right.
I remember you said that. Yeah.
I just booked it.
Yeah, I remember you said that. But the thing is that even like I was thinking, because I remember you'd said that, so I was thinking, well, maybe I can do the same thing. But no, because I was coming at it from the north face.
Well,
there was no way I was making it.
It's very confusing that they have fire resistant and flame resistant.
Yes.
That's a strange thing.
But that being said, once I did get funneled into like the Goron City and everything that you could do around it, great, loved it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the, again, I hesitate to bring this up because I know people get so irritated about it for some reason, but that's kind of my struggle with this game is like when I entered Zora's Domain, loved it. Very Zelda, exactly what I'm looking for, except it would be nice to have fuller, more Zelda-esque dungeons to play with.
So that path up to the Zora village I thought was really fun, especially when Prince kept popping up and encouraging you.
Yeah, again, absolutely. And same thing with the Goron area, right? Like once you know what's happening and you're on the right path, very well done. So
though I'll say, and I will not spoil this, but tackling the divine beast, just getting it to open up there, I made a mistake not understanding that you had to target him, as he was going up the mountain. And so I got to the top without ever having actually shot at.
How did you do that? I didn't really let you move forward.
It did. And so I just found myself stuck. And so I ended up climbing up the volcano to see if, I don't know, maybe I'm supposed to jump in it or something. And I get high enough and they actually take you to the beginning. And that's when I realized, oh, okay, you can shoot him. But I got stumped there because it wasn't clear.
Right.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's just, again, as an example of, I came at it from the north face and then I tried to circle around to the west. And that was like, it was just an extremely frustrating experience.
Sure.
But once I got into the proper entry, it was great. So anyway, yeah. So, wow. So now, so anyway, I just got to the Gerudo Desert today. And I do love the fact that when it's nighttime, it gets so cold that you actually need to, use a buff or use the warming doublet. Thank you. So yeah, that's where I am in that game. So I'm just about ready. I'm ready to jump into like the next Divine Beast quest.
If you're doing Gerudo, you're doing one of my favorite areas of the game. I really liked the Gerudo area in general. And there's a quest in there that I really enjoyed. Although I keep hearing from people on Twitter that it was one of their most hated quests.
Oh, the stealth one?
Yeah, and it's a stealth mission, and I normally hate stealth in video games. I hate it. I really enjoyed this one, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, the quest in the Goron area where it's actually the escort mission, they set it up so it's almost impossible for your escort to die, but I actually did manage to inadvertently kill him.
Oops.
Yeah. He fell off a cliff, and I didn't know what to do, and so I was like slowly following him down the cliff as his animation stopped altogether, and he was just stiffly rolling down into the lava. Yeah,
poor guy.
So anyway, yeah, still playing Zelda. So that's where I was just before the show. I stopped playing. Also, last week started playing a game called 2064 Read Only Memories. Which I don't know if you guys have heard of this or anyone else.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
It's basically an homage to Snatcher.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
It's a really cool little game. I've only played it for a couple of hours, but it's very much just a visual novel, done in the style of Snatcher. The graphics are very similar to what you would have seen on a 16-bit system. A little nicer, but still very similar. And yeah, I really, really like it. It's a cyberpunk game held in a future. I think we're in San Francisco. It's all about murder and trying to solve that murder with a robot or they're called ROMs. That's highly advanced and is sentient, and it's really cool. I really, really like it.
It's a PC game.
It's on Steam, and I think it's on Xbox One or PS4 or both.
Visual novels are awesome. I love visual novels, and I never thought I would.
You should try it if you like them. The only thing I will say that I don't really like about it is that not every character is voiced. It's only like the main scenes that are voiced. But the ROM that you are with the entire time talks a lot. And it's all voiced, and it just takes a really, really, really long time to like. I find when I'm ready to stop playing in the evening, it's really easy to sort of slip into like a 10-minute section of just like dialogue, just exposition. There's not really anything really interesting happening. There's just a lot of tech talk and it's like, okay, like I get it. I get what I think I've got the message here, but I'm still waiting for you to finish talking to me. And so it's a little bit annoying, but overall I am really enjoying it so far. And again, if you like visual novels, and especially if you're familiar with Snatcher, because there's a lot of nods, not just to Snatcher, but mostly there's a lot of nods to that game in this game. Even things like scene composition, like in the intro, there's a lot of one-to-one shots in that intro that are very similar to shots that are in the intros for Snatcher. Definitely check it out.
Nice.
It's a lot of fun. PS4, Windows, Macs, and Linux. There you go.
Cool.
So yeah, check that out. A couple of the games that I started playing this week. One is called All Walls Must Fall. So this is actually this is an alpha. So this is a bit of a PSA here too. So it's by a company called where is the name of this company? In Between Games. So this was a company that was created by 3 former AAA game developers from Jaeger, who the couple games that they mentioned in the Kickstarter they've got going are Dreadnought, Dead Island 2, and for me, the one that was most impressive for me is Spec Ops: The Line.
Oh wait, and I have to say something real quick just before I forget it. These guys are notable to me because they're using our physics engine. They're using our creature 2D animation. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's what's wrong with this game. No, just kidding. So anyway, one of them reached out to me and got me access to the alpha that just went live, I think, earlier this month. The game is set to come out in September this year. It's already been successfully kickstarted, although the campaign still has 16 days to go. So they're under their stretch goals at this point. It's a pretty cool little game. So the whole thing is that it takes place in an alternate future where the Cold War never ended. The game takes place in Berlin, which, of course, by the way, the developers are from Berlin. So, of course, this is still, I'm assuming the wall is still up. The way the map looks, it looks like the wall is still up. The missions that I've played so far in Eastern Berlin. And it's sort of an XCOM. It's like a turn-based strategy action game where you're playing as an agent trying to stop a nuclear blast. So the game starts with a nuclear blast that wipes out at least Berlin. I'm sure a lot more. And so time travel is a thing in this universe, and the whole game is about agents being sent back to figure out the events leading up to the blast and then trying to stop the blast. So the gameplay is pretty neat because it's, like I said, it's I'm told it's a lot like XCOM, which I haven't really played. But it's all sort of an overhead point and click. But when you move kind of in real time, and you're constantly building up action points by discovering rooms and by fulfilling objectives during each mission. And then you can use those action points for combat, or you can use them to rewind time, and as you play, you can unlock more time abilities and more weapons. And there's also like a whole dialogue tree system in there that's kind of cool. Like every time you have a conversation with like an armed guard, it's measured on 6 different elements, so you can talk your way out of situations if you want to. And it's all I have the elements that are listed here somewhere, but I can't find them, and I'm not going to look for them. But anyway, it's a really cool little game. It's set to come out in September this year. I would go check it out, especially if you're a fan of like sort of, well, any like cyberpunk style, alternate future. There's a little bit of res in here, strangely enough. Music is a big element of it. They call it a tech noir tactics game, and you should definitely at least go check out the media they have on their Kickstarter. It's called All Walls Must Fall. And I'm going to hopefully be streaming some of it on my Twitch channel in the coming week. But it's a pretty cool little game.
Well, I will blast out on social media through my work channel when you do that. So
Cool.
let me know.
All right. Yes. So definitely check that out. And then the last game that I put down that I was playing, but I haven't actually played it for a reason that I'll tell you in a minute. So it was late last year, I think, or middle last year. Wisdom Tree had a Kickstarter. For a plug-and-play console for all the old NES Wisdom Tree games, which, if you don't know what Wisdom Tree is, they made Bible-based video games for the NES. But if you backed them at a certain level, you could also get multi-game cartridges for either the NES or the Genesis that had all the Wisdom Tree Bible games on them.
Okay.
Because all of those NES games were actually remade for the Genesis in the mid-90s. So anyway, my game showed up this week. There's I'm not looking at the right screen here. There's the cover for anybody who's interested. So it comes with the Genesis version of Bible Adventures, Joshua, the Battle for Jericho. I love these names. Exodus, the Journey to the Promised Land, and Spiritual Warfare.
Oh, man.
What, no Sunday Fun Day?
Well, one of these is based on Sunday Fun Day. I think Joshua is based on Sunday Fun Day. But I love this. If you're anyone who's watching, they'll notice I'm holding up a Genesis game, but if you can read this backwards,
yeah,
the cover actually says the Wisdom Tree NES collection on the Genesis game.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
But it is the Genesis versions. But anyway, the reason I bring it up is because I just think it's kind of a cool little piece of history. And the reason why is because Wisdom Tree, for anyone who doesn't know too much about unlicensed NES games, Phil probably knows all this stuff.
Right.
Actually started out as a company called Color Dreams, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, and CJ knows this too. And they were one of the companies that made unlicensed NES games. But what's interesting is that they were never sued by Nintendo. Because they did not do it illegally. They made unlicensed games, but they bypassed the 10 NES chip, I think it was called, which was the security chip in the NES, by zapping it at the beginning of when you turn the game on. They actually just sort of tried to fry it a little bit so that it wouldn't read the cartridge, and then you could play the games. But one of the things that Nintendo did instead was to basically threaten any retailer that if you carried these unlicensed games from Color Dreams or these other companies, that you would not be able to buy stock from Nintendo. So nobody would carry them. So they had this brilliant idea of basically taking some of their old games, reskinning them as Bible-based games, and selling them in religious bookshops.
Yeah.
Because
they were quite expensive usually.
Right. Because religious bookshops sell a lot more than books. But they didn't sell video games, and it was an untapped market. I just think it was the reason I'm bringing it up is because I just think it's such a brilliant story. And I mean, they had the added, so they had the added benefit of, even if Nintendo did threaten these people who ran these religious bookshops that they wouldn't be able to buy NES stock, they wouldn't care because they didn't sell that stuff anyway. And also, what company in its right mind is going to go after a religious bookstore?
Right.
I mean, you're destroying yourself. So anyway, they were apparently quite successful. And yeah, they've re-released them on cartridge. Unfortunately, my cartridge doesn't work.
What?
Are any of the games average to good, or are they all just terrible?
I have heard that Spiritual Warfare is actually not bad. Bible Adventures is terrible.
Wait, yours
I played-
doesn't work though?
No, it's faulty. So I went on the Kickstarter page and just said like I couldn't get. I tried it on 3 or 4 different machines. The best I could do was get to the list of games, but when I pressed start on one of those lists, it would just crash.
Yeah.
But to their credit, whoever was running that Kickstarter immediately sent me a private message saying like, "We'll get you another cartridge. You clearly have a faulty game."
Wow.
So
nice.
should have another one by the end of the week.
That's good.
But yeah, I was just excited that it came in. It's just kind of a cool little piece of history, and I just wanted to sort of bring it up on the show because I always thought that was such a cool story.
Definitely.
It is a good story. Yeah.
The way
I
Nintendo
still
handled
have-
that stuff.
Super Noah's Ark.
Yeah,
For the Super Nintendo.
Super 3D Noah's
Yes.
Ark.
One of-
3D Noah's Ark.
One of their stretch goals was actually to get Super 3D Noah's Ark running on a Genesis,
Oh, really?
which they
Awesome.
apparently had a ROM for, but they didn't quite meet that
Ah.
stretch goal. So
I have that
Oh.
on Steam actually.
Well,
Do
but the
Yeah.
Super Nintendo cartridge is like a Super Nintendo Game Genie.
Right,
You basically
yeah.
have to strap another cartridge to the top of it. When it uses the authentication from that
from that
cartridge to
game,
run.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
And to answer I64X on our live chat, Super 3D Noah's Ark is the game that is the Wolfenstein clone.
That's right. It is
Yes.
Wolfenstein
and
clone.
it is the lone unlicensed Super Nintendo game that came out
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
in the U.S. So,
And it's a pretty fun game too.
but
So now,
anyway, I always
between-
thought it was a really cool idea that they had there to sort of stay alive in this very, very hostile retail environment.
Yeah.
So real quick, Stuart, with the difference between the NES and the Genesis versions, did they soup it up at all for 16-bit compared to 8-bit, or is it the
Not
same?
as far as I know. I mean, I'm sure the graphics are a little bit nicer, but no, I mean, that was just I guess more than anything, it speaks to how popular the Genesis actually did become at one point, that it was worth
Yeah.
them doing it,
Yeah.
But yeah, they're literally,
Yeah.
as far as I know, they're pretty much 1-to-1 ports of the NES games.
Yep.
All right then. Let's do some tweets.
Yeah.
Tweet.
All right, let's do this one from hacker alias the JBone29, who says
J-Bone.
with rumors of Scorpio reveal this week, what are 3 things you would do if you were made Xbox boss?
Well, the first thing is I would say this is our next gen machine. This isn't just an extension of Xbox One because Xbox One was not successful enough to build upon.
Yep.
So let's start over. That would be my first thing.
That'd be your number one.
Yep.
I would go after Japanese exclusives
You just want Blue Dragon too.
as
Yeah.
much as possible, and exclusives in general. I guess like get back some of that goodwill that the Xbox brand had during the 360 years.
I would do that. I would court developers like crazy, start offering to pay for some more exclusives, basically, and make sure that the libraries are easy to use and that I have a ton of support ready and willing to help at a moment's notice. And I would fire the guy that suggested we call this a new generation. After months and months of promising that it's not a new generation, I would not.
They shouldn't have done that. They
shouldn't have done
that. Now that they have done that, they've painted themselves into a corner where they can't make it a new generation.
But yeah, they need like, it's the people in our chat are calling this out too. Halo and Gears and Forza aren't enough anymore.
No,
You know what might
They're not.
actually reach the goals that both CJ and Greg have here is I would say look into how much it costs to buy Capcom,
interesting.
because then you would get Japanese titles, bigger brands, or at least brands that are older, more mature than Gears and Halo, and exclusives people would be really interested in having.
If you really want to piss everybody off, buy From Software.
Ooh.
That would piss everybody off. Oh my god. I don't know if that would be a good thing or a bad thing. Probably good thing for Xbox, but bad thing if you're a PlayStation fan.
Yeah, really.
Oh,
That's an
yeah,
interesting one.
that is it. Yeah. I mean, I don't think Sea of Thieves and Crackdown 3 are enough. Even
No.
I mean, we're talking
No,
Halo,
no.
Gears, Forza. I don't think Sea of Thieves or Crackdown are enough. Even like you got to do more than that. So
okay,
yeah,
so I'm gonna put on my business publishing bastard hat as well, because actually the other thing I would think about doing is say, all right, we're going to announce Minecraft 2. This one is Xbox exclusive.
Yes, yes, absolutely. That is
that would sink the Minecraft brand, though.
Would it?
That's playing with fire. Like that's
if it was also
really
bear in mind if it was also available on PC.
Yeah, because all their exclusives are.
Well, on Windows 10.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Not on Steam.
I'm just saying that would be my bastard
to be fair, CJ, the original Minecraft is not available on Steam.
Oh, okay. Well, then there you go. But I think
seriously, that is the biggest gun they have.
I think it'd be super risky for them to do that, though.
That would be a risk.
Well, here's what I'm saying, though, is, of course, their messaging would have to be like, we are still supporting the original Minecraft. That's not going anywhere. We recognize that has a base that wants content, and that content will continue to grow. But if you want the big new Minecraft that has better visuals and these 3 awesome features, that's going to be exclusive to the Xbox or Microsoft ecosystem.
Well, I wonder what the 3 awesome features could possibly be. And also, I'm not sure that people who are into Minecraft are all about better graphics.
Well, yeah. But I think they would not shut down the original Minecraft or try to push all of the community there to another game. That would be a bad idea.
It's risky, though. It's risky.
Yeah.
That would be a very interesting thing if they pulled that lever. I mean, they own the franchise. They could do it.
Yes, they could.
But
I do think that we're also talking about something that I still think is one of their worst ideas, which is the whole our exclusives are on Windows 10 as well.
Well, it just dilutes the message.
Well, and especially when you're getting into a whole situation of wanting someone to buy a new console, that is a great thing to have for people who are already in the Microsoft ecosystem.
Yeah.
But for anybody who isn't, that just begs the question, why in the world am I giving you $500 for a new console?
Well, I'll say bastard developer move number 2. I would also secretly have conversations with Amazon and Google to see if anyone would be interested in us offloading Xbox.
That I feel is a more likely scenario in the next 5 to 10 years.
You would so with Scorpio, you would offload Xbox to Amazon or Google?
Yeah, because probably Amazon above all else, because they have solutions to actually attach to your TV, with their Kindle devices and stuff like that. So
I feel like when they announced the whole our exclusives go to Windows 10 as well, that was the first step down that road. That is them hedging their bets now. The system wasn't performing the way they wanted it to.
The system wasn't performing the way they wanted it to, and if you can also get all these games on Windows 10 at the same time didn't work, which I'm not sure if it did.
I doubt it did.
It doesn't appear to have. Then I think that's another step or 2 or 3 down the road.
Yeah, they're hedging their bets.
Yeah. All right. Hacker Alias 9 Attack 09 says, in honor of WrestleMania, what's your favorite wrestling games / memories? Still a soft spot for WWF, the arcade game, and Warzone.
Oh, this is going to show people's age, because No Mercy is a good choice. For me, it's still pro wrestling on the NES.
Oh, jeez.
Starman Forever.
Yeah, I think it's probably pro wrestling on NES for me too, just because I play the other games for review or in groups of people who are playing multiplayer games, but I never really had a really great memory of those as singular games. They're always more like party games. So pro wrestling would be my number 1.
Yeah, in fact, I'm just talking about it makes me wonder, is that available on Virtual Console?
It's not.
Not on the Switch, at least.
Well, it's not available. They haven't done anything with pro wrestling in ever, really, right? They didn't even put it out on the Wii, if I remember correctly.
I don't believe so.
I think for me, it's I don't know which one it would be, but those, the old arcade games, the
Saturday Night Slam Masters,
something like that.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
the ones that were actually WWF licensed arcade games. I just remember going to like a bowling alley or something, and that was one of the games that was there, and just playing a lot of it.
Well,
Back when I liked wrestling. I mean, that was back when I watched wrestling on Saturday mornings, so I knew those characters, right? Like,
I do remember though when No Mercy was hot, whether or not you followed WWE, you were playing that game because of the character creator.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Definitely true. All right, Hacker Alias Guillaume NWR says your favorite co-op games in the arcades.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
TMNT
By
and
far.
The Simpsons.
Simpsons, yeah, I have fond memories of that too, for sure.
No, I didn't have access to Simpsons, and that's the thing. Like for me, TMNT is, and it's not because it's the best one by any stretch of the imagination, but that is the one that my brother and I played multiple times every summer, and we just dumped so much money into that machine.
I would say the biggest one for me, just because we had a neighborhood ice cream shop called Shirl's that we could walk to, and they had Double Dragon. And once we learned the elbow trick, then on 1 quarter each, we could get through to the very end and beat the game.
Nice.
There you go. I would say Turtles as well, but I'm gonna throw this one out there. Narc.
Oh yeah.
Narc.
I played a hell of a lot of Narc.
Winners don't do drugs.
Winners
No,
don't
they
do
don't.
drugs.
No, they don't.
Yeah, I love the kind of digitized tech. I wonder if that technology was in any way related to the technology used for MK1.
I believe it was.
Yeah.
I want to say that I read somewhere that was a thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that is the case. All right. Let's end it with this one from Hacker Alias Nemeva, who says, last week the cast said 3DS is over. How many games did you guys finish? What were your favorites?
Oh, it's a good question.
I wish I'd had more than a couple minutes to think about this.
Yeah.
Thanks,
That's
CJ.
right. Hey, no problem.
Well, and CJ, actually, since we are seeing kind of the end of the Wii U as well, maybe sometime we should soon have kind of a 20 games of that. Yeah.
You should.
When I think of 3DS, one of the first things that comes to mind is actually the Sega 3D Classics games that came out.
Oh yeah,
those are great, and what a price too.
Oh, Outrun!
Awesome.
Oh my god,
Sonic, best version of Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2 on any platform ever.
Yep, I would agree with that.
Space Harrier is fantastic on there. Obviously, for me, number one with a bullet is the Fire Emblem games. Fates, all three of those, and then Awakening. Those would take my top 4 spots instantly. But also Super Mario 3D Land, I think is fantastic. Obviously the Link Between Worlds is a masterpiece and probably the second best of all the Zelda games in my opinion.
Yep.
Excellent game.
Luigi's Mansion.
Luigi's Mansion was the next one I was going to say.
It's really good.
So happy that we finally got a Luigi's Mansion sequel.
Yeah.
So
the Zelda remakes, Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Animal Crossing New Leaf.
It's the system that I played tons and tons of Picross on.
That's what I was just going to say. Picross 3D and all the Picross games.
Yep.
Rhythm Heaven, we got a ton of play.
Rhythm Heaven.
Yeah.
Yep.
So many good games on the 3DS.
Yeah, it was a really amazing platform.
And it's so funny when you think back to when it was launched, how rough it was.
Right.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Super rough.
But yeah, so good. Such a great system.
Yep.
We should do a full show on that and the Wii U sometime in the near future. You're right.
Agreed.
Because the other crazy thing about the Wii U when you look at it is the reasons it didn't sell had nothing to do with a lack of great first party software.
No.
They had some awesome stuff on there.
Yeah.
Well, initially, yes, that was the problem. But then after the first year, that wasn't the problem anymore.
Yeah.
All right. We'll save that for another episode.
Yeah.
Go on that for a while. All right. Alrighty, and that is our show for this week. Thanks everybody for listening. If you have a question for us or would like to comment on something you heard, you can direct that to @P1 Podcast on the Twitter, or you can go to our internet website at player1podcast.com. You'll find our contact information. You'll find blog entries about Sega CD stuff from Mr. Greg Seward.
Someday.
Yeah. and Generation 16 episodes as well.
Making progress on that. It's only been 6 months.
Yes, indeed. If you check the show notes for this episode, you'll find links of all the little things that we talked about, including a link to Scoopfest Vegas 17 information. You can join us in Las Vegas in September and check out a live recording of this show and several other comedy podcasts as well. So go to heyscoops.com and follow the link for Scoopfest 17, and you'll get more information there. Or you can just find a link to that on playeronepodcast.com as well. And we happen to have a message board where you can discuss this episode with us and our other listeners.
If you'd like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by visiting playeronepodcast.com or by going to the iTunes Music Store. While you're at the iTunes Music Store, you can also invest $1.99.
Cheap.
To pick up the Player One Podcast iPhone application. Gives you one-touch communication with us via the voicemail. No!
I thought you were done with that, Phil.
So did I. Oh.
Boy, that's embarrassing.
Wow.
Oh, gee whiz.
We all think we're done with it, and then one night, it's just...
Holy cow.
Slips
you're
out.
Not done with it.
Yeah.
Just happens. You weren't ready for it. Spend the rest of the night apologizing.
That's how that worked out. Via the emails and the Twitters and the what have you. Not voicemails. Not the voicemails.
No.
We also have all of our episodes ready to stream right to your listening device. And hey, Android cell phone, telephone users, the Play One Podcast iPhone applications for your listening device as well for that same $1.99.
Also cheap.
You can find that right over there at the Amazon Android Marketplace. We're also on Stitcher Radio. You can like us on Facebook. You can watch us record live, or check out archives of our show on the youtubes.com/P1 podcast. And if you've liked what you've heard and how could you can head over to patreon.com/P1 podcast. Find our Patreon page. You can throw a few shekels our way. It keeps CJ, running out of good things for CJ.
Washing memory cards for his Switch.
I guess so. He's going to need them for all those gigs he's going to have to download for Lego City.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Confirmed. It's happening.
You heard it here last.
It's true. And if you have a couple bucks left over, head over to generation-16.com where you'll find the Patreon link to help support Greg Stewart's fantastic web series, Generation 16.
And where I only release like 2 episodes a year, that's really only, 2 installments you have to pay. So
exactly. What a bargain at twice the price.
Yes.
About North America's favorite second banana, the Sega's Genesis.
Amen, brother. Now
Let's
with Bible games.
Mm-hmm. Your show just got a lot more holy.
Mm-hmm.
How long is it going to be before you cover that particular
Oh,
cartoon?
God, I'll be dead before I get there.
That's your children will be picking up the mantle at that point.
The mantle. Yep.
Nice. CJ.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Phil.
Well, thank you for the thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Greg.
Yo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. And one thing I want to call out real quick, I won't do this every week, but I do want to call out that I have started fundraising for Extra Life 2017. It's my 7th year doing this, and cleared a little over $8,000 last year for the IWK Health Center here in Halifax, which when you translate to Canadian funds is over 10K. So that was amazing. So this year I'm going to try to raise 10,000 US. So please, if you haven't, head over to extra-life.org/participant/Seward and give if you can, completely tax deductible. All money goes directly to the hospital. And hey, if you have any ideas or anything you'd like to see me stream, let's say, during the year for a donation, let me know. Reach out. I'd like to get a few more regular charity streams going through the years. So just want to throw that out there. Like I said, not going to say it every week, but I want to put that in people's minds because, people usually have a little bit more money that they could give this time of year than Christmas time, which is when we'll be doing our big push. So just wanted to call that out.
Nice. And Ethan.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I really had fun today. And I was happy to hear some talk about games that were not on the Switch. Even though I love my Switch, it was nice to have a more well-rounded discussion this time.
Who are you trying to impress right now?
Let's face it, Ethan. Any discussion with you and me, and it is going to be well-rounded for lots of reasons.
Yeah, that's true.
And next week, everybody.
Yep.
Sure.
Do it to it.
Let's do it.
Okay. Okie dokie.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.